Hey guys, it's me again, Orchler. What is? See where we last left off. Checking. I've mainly focused on Tundra and Smoke. Smoke during the whole Heroes vs. Villains was sent to fight against robots. Because I did the math wrong, and instead of 22 people, there was only 21. So, sorry about that. So, as I continue forward, Smoke went against Bakugo and Ida with Uraraka at his side to help him. And everything went relatively the same with how everyone did. Now, I'm not sure if Momo and Minetta's team won theirs or not, but I'm not entirely sure. So, as they continue forward to fight their fight, Sub-Zero's class rep, Momo's vice rep. Anything else? No. So, where I last left off, Sub-Zero and Deku began fighting. As they come to fight and such, Deku teleporting all around, trying to confuse Sub-Zero as he blasts him with a bit of fire. Kurogiri enacts his thing, and after Deku throws Sub-Zero and all of them back over there, they all get separated as they usually would. With sorta Deku noticing Momo's gone, as he like I said, he could pick her out from the crowd, as she's just gone. As he not teleports around, but fights a bit of them. Realizing he really doesn't have a chance against 13, he teleports away, letting Kurogiri and them to deal with her. As in, he goes around looking for Momo and them. He's teleporting around and eventually finds her as she's over there. Sub-Zero is with Suyu and Mineta, with Smoke being one of the ones that remain with Ida on them. As they continue forward and such, they're trying to decide which one should go, Smoke or Ida. Smoke decides that would probably be best. He may be able to teleport, but it takes a while to get there. Teleportation. Well, Ida could easily just book it over there. With Sub-Zero with Mineta on them, or Mineta and Suyu, he's like, as he charges up an ice blast and just freezes all the villains, getting that done much more quickly. Since he is much more capable than Deku. But Suyu and them can't really ice skate, so they still do the whole jumping thing. So they get over there. They don't freeze the entire thing, they usually just freeze that little area. With Mineta, not doing anything. Of course, he doesn't. Now with Momo, Jiro, and all them, Ojiro and such is doing much better with their fighting. Bakugo is doing a lot better as well, even more so, taking on a larger number of villains. With Sector and his followers, quote-unquote followers, doing a larger amount of time and such, spread throughout the U.S.J. A few of them trying to take on Ojiro, Bakugo, and even Momo and them. As Deku's sitting up there, Sector doesn't like this, at all. His Lin Kuei his cyberized warriors were hired by the League of Villains, but they didn't like the idea of working with Deku. Now, as we cut back, it goes like this, that Deku was called upon Kurogiri, calling up that favor he owes him. So he showed up, he saw this massive amounts of villains, low-rate thugs and such. As he was coming in, he then saw Sector and his Cyber Lin Kuei saying, and the Shigaraki was getting them amped up, saying that the Cyber Lin Kuei's help, and soon if he decides to arrive, as Deku flashes there with his fire, as he shows up, he's like, what? With... sorry. with that happening, he shows up with his whole fire show, as several of the low rate thugs and such saying, "Oh, it's him, it's Scorpion." With Scorpion's help and our All Might killing weapon, we shall kill All Might. Such. And he gives this whole spiel. Deku thinking this thing can only end in failure, but he does owe a favor to Kurogiri, so he'll honor it. And as Sector and them all realize, Sector was like outraged as he like pointed at Deku saying, "You," as he still hates Deku's guts, as he then puts up his fist. Kurogiri trying to get things calmed down, but that ain't how Sector and Deku are, as they come to blows. With Sector launching his micro rockets and trying to use his flamethrowers, Deku pretty much just blasting the rockets and pretty much tanking the fire. So he then grabs Sector's head, disembodies it, well, takes it off, and then punches it onto the ground, pretty much knocking him out. As it's like, very well done. As that was continued forward and such, they cut back to the future. With Shigaraki going like, hopefully Kurogiri and Deku could take care of those guys. Sector and his troops better be useful. As Aizawa was tearing through the whole army, coming into contact with several of the Cyberlink Way and such, as Deku has found Momo and such. With that happening, Deku decides, as he sits back and watches to see what they do. Jiro is, well, just using her sound quirk, and Denki is just doing what he did in the anime. But Momo's actually doing a lot more, considering the fact she knows several martial arts. So she creates several weapons, like she uses throwing knives, a few little dull swords, such keeping them back. As then, when Deku sees this, as one what's the name? Sector comes out of nowhere, noticing the fighting style and noticing the colors and such, saying she must be a friend of Deku's. Not a friend, but must be someone who had ties to Shirai Ryu. As he comes running forward, coming to fight Momo, as Momo's actually holding him off pretty well, using her swords and such to keep him away, and creating a shield at one point, trying to deal with the fire. As Deku's sitting there waiting and seeing how well she does. She does really well, especially against someone like Sector, who was like one of the top assassins of the Lin Kuei. Well, not assassins, but one of the top warriors. Bihan being the topper, Sub-Zero, and Tundra being one of the other top warriors, with Smoke being up there with them as well. As they continue forward, she does a very good job of fighting Sector off, even at one point damaging him severely as he has to retreat, with Cyberlink Way converging on him. As he speaks with Shigaraki, saying several of the students are still being suppressed and such. As he's like, they're not dead? How are you unable to kill children? He's like, these ones are well trained, more so than we expected. You are cyborgs, you should be dealing with them easily. Especially you, Sector. Are you having trouble with some kids and they are not children? As they sort of bicker. As Deku, for a brief second after everything is cooled down, he shows up, Denki being all hey, as he approaches Jiro and Momo, saying, Jiro, Momo. Sort of just sitting there. Momo and Jiro are not scared, but more or less uneasy, as they are prepared to fight. As a guy is rushing behind them, as Deku throws his rope spear, well, not a guy, but Cyber Lin Kuei, throws his rope spear, piercing the Lin Kuei, as he yanks him forward, takes out his sword, and chops off the head. This one isn't one that can, throw his head off at either, as it's finished. He's like, You've grown stronger. It's good to see that. See you later, Momo. As he looks at Momo like that in the eyes and says, see you later. As he leaves, like teleporting away. After a while, sort of, Aizawa still gets that whole, like, he's beaten up, but with Sub-Zero and them, like, able to get closer, he's not as badly beaten, as Sub-Zero's freezing things over, and even freezes Nomu for a bit after fighting, then fights off several Lin Kuei, as Sector's like, Kuai Liang, or Tundra. You seem to have gotten better over the last year. He's like, I've been training myself every day, Sector. As then he's like, well, your training will be for naught. As he comes rushing in, fighting Sub-Zero, him doing like chops and such and punches, not doing as well as Deku would. With his like immunity to fire and such, he's able to like counter Sector's flames and such, and his rockets, but he still has trouble with Sector being much more experienced than Link's Tundra and such. Deku being more experienced now since he had to like go deep to the underground and finding a more wide variety of people. He's fought professional, like pro heroes, to professional, I guess the word is more or less like agencies and police forces, special forces, and other alike. That is why Sector was not able to beat Deku. As not Sub-Zero, Tundra and Sector come to blows again and again and again, as they are continuously fighting, with the Nomu eventually doing the whole breaking free part, going like king, king, ksh. As Sector steps back to let the Nomu do his thing, as he like uses his, like sort of does an Iron Man, just like blast back a little bit. As Kuai Liang is like, or Tundra is more like, running, Sector, no, I have diverted you enough. As then he teleports away, cause I believe Sector and such can teleport. It's like short range teleportation or something. I'm pretty sure, at least, not entirely. As not Sub-Zero, Tundra and such is trying to fend off the Nomu. Dang it, so great. With Tundra fending off the Nomu a lot more easily, no, actually a lot more difficult than anything. The cold not really phasing it, as it even like punches him at one point, sending him flying. Momo and them have all made it like back, like as they traveled down the mountain. As they traveled down the mountain, they did very well. With Ojiro and them also making their way back. And Smoke is there with Ojiro and such, helping her fight. Like, let's get back. As they start rushing back to their whole thing. Ow. With them coming back to see this, as Sub-Zero's punted pretty much across the field. With that, as Sub-Zero gets back up, ready for another fight. His arm is broken and his leg is broken, as he's standing there, barely holding himself up, having to have used his like ice and such to try and keep it back, as the Nomu's speed is just incredible, but he keeps on freezing the legs to keep it stopped. Deku's hiding in the shadows, with as then All Might comes like, I am here, jumping down, ready to kill, well, not kill, but to fight. If Aizawa and all them backed up, and like all them at the ready, all them try to like, All Might's like, all the children get back, as Momo and all them listen to them. As Momo goes forward a bit, with even out when Sub-Zero comes like crashing like at her feet after being hit one more time, she tries to carry him away with help from the others. As they're carrying them away, Aizawa's pretty banged up too. She realizes, like, Sub-Zero, like, oh my, can't do it by himself. As the whole teleportation debacle happens, where it's, like, all done. As then Momo comes around, well, not Bakugo, yeah, Bakugo and them come around to assist her. With All Might being like, oh, with the whole bleeding in the side. Same thing. as they're all blasted away, as Sector and his cyber ninjas are able to keep them all busy. As All Might is hid away somewhere, Shigaraki pretty much says, "Nomu, kill the children," as the Nomu comes swinging at the children, with Todoroki trying to freeze it over, Bakugo trying to blast it, Kirishima trying to punch it, and Momo trying to fend off some of these cyber ninjas, as Sector and them say, "Our task is done," as they teleport away. Shigaraki like, "Dang it, they should have been here for much longer," as he questions, "Where's Deku?" as he's scratching his neck again. With him waiting in the shadows for whatever reason. Oh, sorry. As Momo is then hit by the Nomu, or felt like the gust of wind, as it comes rushing at her, and All Might and all of them are trying to All Might and all of them are trying to help her. She's just pretty much getting back up as it comes rushing with its fists held out, ready to kill her. As Deku then teleports in very quickly, with one swift motion cutting off the Nomu's hand, as she's barely standing. As she's oh, as she goes to collapse as well. Deku pretty much catching her, sort of. As she looks up to him, seeing his eyes again. As Deku sort of teleports away with her back to where 13 and the rest of them are. Him breathing in and out, setting her there. As he then teleports back in. Shigaraki "What were you doing, Deku?" He's like, "I do not permit the killing of these children." It's they aren't children though, they're adults. Should be ready to die if they are heroes. He's like, "I would not permit it." As he looks Shigaraki dead in the eyes, he's like, "Kurogiri, send him away." As Kurogiri teleports him away, he's like, "Thank you for holding your promise." He's like, "No problem." As he then walks away, with All Might seeing this, he comes in and does the whole bashing around the Nomu and such. With Sub-Zero, Aizawa and them pretty much not bedridden, but pretty banged up, Deku leaves and goes back underground. As the whole situation is then reported on, with reports of Scorpion being there and saving Momo. Well, that is that. Sub-Zero and the thing, and All Might at this point, well, I believe I said last time he hasn't given anything to Mirio yet, but after this battle and getting injured even more, he's more or less forced to give it to Mirio, lest One for All be gone forever. As that happens and such, Deku's just, as he's waiting and waiting till it comes night. As then he sort of makes his way to where he believes Momo lives at least, and comes and shows up. Seeing if she still lives there, and he notices she does, as he waits. As she comes back from eating dinner, he's waiting on the ceiling, where the ceiling was, as she's as she noticed something in the mirror. She reaches down, sort of creating a knife. She throws it very quickly. He teleports right in and starts fighting with her in hand-to-hand combat. Her able to fend him off for a little bit, as she's quickly disarmed and then tossed on her back with a sword at her throat. He's like, you've done much better, Momo." She's like, "Deku?" He's like, "Yep." As he helps her up. As he then takes a seat on one of the chairs. She's like, "It's been forever." He's like, "It's been too long, I'd say." As then he's like, "So, how have you been?" She's like, "Oh, I've been good. They kept us in witness protection for quite a while, though, so." He's like, "How have things been fair to you, Deku?" He's like, "They've been well, considering everything. Could be worse. Could be better. So, how are you liking UA?" As she's like, "Can we, first of all, get to the elephant in the room? What the heck were you doing at the U.S.J?" He gives the explanation. He owed Kurigiri. Who's that? Oh, the smoky guy. When I was getting cornered by all the police and such after I was discovered about me being Scorpion, I was in the forest and they teleported me out. I said I owed him a favor. This was it. As he's sitting there, as he's taking off his hoodie and such, he's like, "It's nice to talk to you again, Momo." So, as we continue forward, how you were enjoying class? Oh, it was good. As they go to talk on for hours. And she's like, it's getting late. She's like, indeed it is. It's like, I should leave. As he goes to leave, she's like, yeah, you can stay. I don't think my parents would mind, at least. I could go ask them for you real quick. Like, alright, fine. As when she sort of brings them in and they see him, they're like, oh, Deku, it's good to see you. They rush up and hug him. They're like, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Rozu. As Deku is taller than them. I don't think we ever see Momo's dad, but he's taller than both of them. She's like, look how big you've grown. As they're looking at him, you've grown quite big. As he's like, look at you, you're like a wall of muscle. He's like, yeah. As he gives a chuckle, so. Momo, what do you want to ask them? She's like, oh, can he, like, stay? So, like, we don't mind, and we don't have anyone else who would intrude. It's like, hey, you can go in your old room. As he's like, cool. As he goes there, and after talking with them for a little bit, he goes and rests his head. Momo and them are like, so, is he back for good? Is he just staying tonight? Momo's like, I don't know. Just happy he's back. As then we skip over to Smoke and Tundra. As Smoke is like, it's okay, Tundra. As he's like, no. I almost died. I must amped up my training. As he's at this point, like, carrying, like, several giant rocks over his shoulders. And a basket full of rocks on his back. As he's running around the little courtyard, he's like, oh. Smoke's like, you need to rest. He's like, no, your injuries are still fresh. Come on now. As it's like, no, I must push myself. Breathing in and out, very ragged breathing. As the 2 weeks pass. And I'll talk what will happen in the next 2 weeks in the next video. Hope y'all enjoyed. I hope y'all have a nice day, nice night, nice life.